Let's get straight into this one, as this industry has benefited incredibly by the uptake of drones. Firstly, let's take a look at the industry background of the telco world. Let's face it, we cannot live without our mobile phones these days, and with that comes an industry that is also very important to us. Telecom towers have been around for years. It plays a vital part in urban infrastructure. They come in all forms, such as monopoles, lattice towers. They're on top of high voltage power lines. They even live on shopping center roofs, top of skyscraper buildings, anywhere that is nice and high and unobstructed. The technology has progressed obviously over the years, from HSDPA to 2G, then we went to 3G, 4G, and now there's 5G. Without getting too technical, what you need to understand is how the towers and the industry works. Then I'll explain why drones are crucial in the commissioning, maintenance, and servicing of these towers. On a mobile tower, pole, or structure, there are several different types of antennas or assets there that need to transfer radio signal to the next tower and then ultimately to your phone. So you have a range of different antennas, from panel antennas to omni antennas. There's dipoles, dishes, and other equipment such as RRUs, or remote radio units, which produce radio frequency from fiber before it is shot out of the antenna, and other bits and pieces that I won't dive into too much in this video. These antennas vary in shapes and sizes, and all of these transmit different types of data. The dishes, which look like big bass drums, they are also known as the transmission links. So their primary job is to transmit signal from tower to tower. Then you have the panel antennas, which are these rectangular looking boxes with a flat edge. These transmit signal to your phone via radio frequency. These mobile towers need to have a clear line of sight between them to pass data efficiently from dish to dish. So imagine that you're driving from town to town. The moment you get out of reception from one tower, you automatically will get connected to the next tower and the next tower as you're driving along. So you'll always have phone reception. Towers communicate to each other and push the signal to your phone, so you are constantly connected at all times. The only efficient way that these towers can push data to you is through radio frequency, and if there is an unobstructed line of sight between these towers. Radio frequency can pass through some trees, other objects, but it does struggle to travel through things like concrete, buildings, mountains. Hence why there are quite a lot of towers around the country to bypass these areas. For the spots where these towers don't reach, or areas that are geographically challenging, these areas are called black spots, and we all know when we are in a black spot, don't we? From the ground, it's really hard to determine if there is a clear path of any natural or man-made obstacles between the towers. It takes time, money, and risks to have multiple riggers checking this whenever it's needed. This is where the opportunity for drones come in. To be able to establish the link between two towers using a drone is called a line of sight survey. The traditional method, of course, is having a person rig up, climb the tower, and with a pair of binoculars or a small camera in hand, try to find the A or B end. This is a term used to find the second or third tower with the link. The challenge comes when trying to find the tower on a foggy or misty day, or if there is an obstacle in the way. The method, of course, can be incredibly difficult, especially if the tower is a considerable distance away, so let's say 10 or more kilometers. There are other methods for finding the link between these towers which you may find interesting. The most common one is to get a reflective material or a mirror and to use the sun to bounce the light and aim it into the direction of one of the B ends of one of the other towers, with someone on the other end looking out for this bright reflection. Now, if they find it, then tick, a link can be established and it is a pass. Other methods I've heard of are using large bright balloons on a string that is hoisted 20 to 40 meters in the air, and then once spotted from the other tower, that's a tick and it's a pass. Another method is attaching a strobe light to a drone and hopefully it's bright enough to detect on the other end. Now this can be tricky, especially during days when the sun's out. So if this was to happen, and if you're going to do it this way, then make sure you do it really early in the morning or just after sunset. Drones with a high-powered zoom capabilities, like the Z30 or the H20T, are able to hover where the dishes are located and lock onto a specific bearing facing where the next tower is. From this, you are able to determine if there is a clear line of sight between the two towers and that there are no obstacles between the towers. This is called a line of sight survey, or LOS. For new pole locations or greenfields, where there isn't a structure there yet, a telco company may want to know if there is a possibility to establish a link from that position. Now in this case, two things are yet to be determined. The first one is yes or no, if there is or if there isn't a possibility of establishing a link. And the second thing is they would want to know what the minimum height is, which I'll explain. For minimum height data, the drone starts off on the ground and is positioned in the correct bearing and direction of where the second tower is. Now once the drone takes off the ground, you start to rise, and soon as the drone gets above the tree line and gets a glimpse of the next tower or the next B end, then the link is established, the height is recorded and noted in the report. This is so they can ensure that the dish is installed on the pole at that exact height or higher, and they can guarantee that there will be a link between these two towers, or there is a clear line of sight between the two towers. So the other use and opportunity besides line of sight surveys is to perform a drone inspection of the tower itself. So often barcodes or condition reports are required on the towers themselves. Using drones saves time, saves money, and conducting these visual inspections is often done super quickly with a high-powered zoom lens. Also, a hot tip and a very cool use of drones on these towers is to create a 3D model or a digital twin of the actual tower. The actual process can be automated, and what you get from this is a 3D replica of the tower. After that, an assessor can zoom in, they can annotate, they can generate reports, all from this 3D model. The images viewed are high resolution and more than enough to do condition reporting on, or to even read a barcode, so long as it's not buried behind something else. And here is the ultimate kicker: the software can also calculate azimuth or direction bearing of the dish based on the software's algorithm and measurement calculations. It's mind-blowing stuff and incredibly useful for the industry. As you can tell, there is a huge opportunity in this space, and very, very shortly drones will be used as a standard practice and tools for the telco industry. Let's talk about the best drone to use for line of sight surveys. If you want to know which drone would be the best to use for this kind of work, I would go with a drone that has the highest zoom capabilities. So something like a M200 with a Z30, or if the distance isn't too far, you could use something like a 45mm Olympus or a 45 to 175 Panasonic lens. However, this would be ideal for towers less than 10 kilometers away and on a clear day. The M200 and the M210 is great and still fantastic, but I believe by far the most efficient and best on market today, DJI M300 with the H20T camera, and I'll tell you why. So besides the fact that it has an incredible zoom lens at 20 times optical and with a 20 megapixel camera, there is a laser rangefinder on the camera which can pinpoint a spot and measure the distance from the drone. It also tells you the bearing or direction of the drone is facing on the telemetry display. So if you have the information from the client of the bearing of the tower, you can ensure to line this up correctly and be spot on. Software. Right now, the software world is growing in leaps and bounds. There are some really incredible software out there that's being developed that can do all those things that I mentioned plus more. So this is an example from a company which I don't think exists anymore, but this particular app is incredible. It's used to plan your survey Then when your drone is in the air, you're able to see all the assets that are in there. It pops up on your screen. Pilot can access all that data associated with this tower. Even the drone is automated and programmed to reach the exact height and point to those targets. Furthermore, real-time data telemetry is shown to the pilot of all the targets. It shows terrain calculations and using augmented reality to show those targeted sites. We're keeping our ear close to the ground with this one, but unfortunately the software was for internal use for this inspections company, but I'm sure there will be a public version of this in some shape or form eventually that will soon get developed. Alright, well that wraps up the background and opportunity in the telecommunication space. I hope this has helped and given you more of an in-depth understanding of this industry. Don't forget to check out dronemasterclassacademy.com. See you guys in the next one.